Greetings and welcome everyone. Today we delve into a critical and evolving aspect of our roles as educational leaders, that of the Title IX Education Amendment of 1972. This is a landmark federal civil rights law, is a bedrock of equity in education, prohibiting sex-based discrimination in any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Our understanding and proactive implementation of Title IX are paramount to fostering safe, equitable, and inclusive learning environments for all students and staff. Key components of the harassment under Title IX include a standard of hostile environment, which is defined as sufficiently severe, pervasive, or objectively offensive prior to the 2024 updates. It would involve denial of equal access to education, includes employee to student harassment. It could cover student to student harassment and require schools to respond appropriately. The court cases that are precedents in this situation involve the Franklin versus Gwinnett County Public Schools, 1992, is a landmark decision established that individuals could seek monetary damages for intentional violations of Title IX. The ruling significantly increased the accountability of educational institutions for Title IX noncompliance. In 1999, Davis versus Monroe County Board of Education further clarified Title IX's reach. The Supreme Court held that the schools could be liable for student-on-student sexual harassment if school officials were deliberately indifferent to known harassment that was so severe, pervasive, and objectively offensive that it effectively denied the victim access to an educational opportunity. This case directly informs our policies on how we must respond to peer-on-peer harassment. The Grimm versus Gloucester County School Board case focuses on transgender student rights, though not a Supreme Court decision, garnered significant attention. The transgender boy, Gavin Grimm, challenged the school board's policy requiring him to use restrooms corresponding to his assigned sex at birth. The Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals ultimately sided with Grimm, affirming that the school's policy was discriminatory under Title IX. This case, among others, highlighted the evolving legal landscape regarding gender identity and Title IX's protections for transgender students, impacting areas like restroom access, pronouns, and participation in activities. The Delaware Valley case refers to various instances where schools, like Delaware Valley, have faced scrutiny or litigation concerning their handling of Title IX complaints, often related to sexual harassment or assault. While not a single Supreme Court precedent like Davis or Franklin, such cases underscore the consistent legal obligation of districts to conduct thorough, equitable, and prompt investigations and to implement effective remedies, reinforcing the practical application of the broader Title IX framework. The Biden administration Title IX rule changes has required significant revisions or created significant revisions to Title IX, generally aiming to broaden the scope of prohibited sex discrimination to explicitly include discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. They also seek to restore previous protections and processes that were modified by the prior administration, often expanding the types of conduct considered harassment and clarifying schools' obligations to respond. These new rules, taking effect in 2024, significantly impact how districts must investigate complaints, implement interim measures, and provide support measures, requiring us to update our policies and training accordingly. As district leaders, our responsibilities under Title IX are extensive and dynamic. Title IX demands that we actively prevent and effectively respond to all forms of sex-based discrimination. This commitment extends beyond our compliance. It's about upholding the fundamental right to an education free from discrimination for every individual in our schools. Our leadership responsibilities include designating a Title IX coordinator, which is crucial for overseeing the compliance efforts, receiving complaints, and coordinating responses. For developing and disseminating policies that establish clear, accessible policies prohibiting sex discrimination, including sexual harassment, and outline effective grievance procedures. Providing training, regular and comprehensive, for all staff and the Title IX coordinator to ensure understanding their rights and responsibilities. Responding promptly and equitably. This was a key component of the changes that were made in 2024, as long as the understanding of the hostile environment, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a second. Ultimately, our role is to create and maintain an educational environment free from sex-based discrimination, including sexual harassment, sexual assault, dating violence, domestic violence, and stalking. The compliance process from reporting to resolution is as follows. Starting with the report of an alleged sex discrimination or harassment, the district will receive a report of the alleged sex discrimination, including sexual harassment, sexual assault, dating violence, domestic violence, or stalking, and it can come from any person, including a student, employee, parent, or third party, or through official channels. The district immediate responsibilities is to promptly respond without waiting for a formal complaint. The Title IX coordinator must promptly contact the complainant to discuss the availability of supportive measures, which we'll talk more about in a second, and offer those measures. Clearly inform the complainant of their right to file a complaint. Begin a preliminary assessment to determine if the conduct falls under Title IX scope, and to have a no contact order in situations where safety measures are needed. The next phase, the providing of supportive measures, can come in the form of changing academic schedules or living arrangements if needed, counseling or health services, extending of deadlines for course-related adjustments, mutual restrictions on contact between the parties, or leaves of absences. District responsibility is to complete an individualized assessment, working with both parties to determine the appropriate supportive measures based on their needs and specific circumstances, to document all the supportive measures, and to maintain the confidentiality of all the parties involved. A formal complaint, initiation of an investigation, and written documentation is required in this next phase. Written notice, provide written notice of the formal complaint to the known parties, including the allegations. An investigator is appointed that's impartial and is not the Title IX coordinator, so as to have no conflict of interest. And under the 2024 regulations, dismissals are narrower. Formal complaint must be dismissed if the alleged contact, even if proven, would not constitute sex discrimination under Title IX, or if the conduct did not occur in the district's education program or activity, or does not involve a respondent over whom the district has control. And appeal of dismissals. Notice that both parties can appeal the dismissals. Stage 4, the investigation protocols. It's the district responsibility to maintain impartiality, to provide equitable opportunities to present witnesses and evidence, for both parties to have equal opportunity to have access to evidence, inspect and review evidence obtained, to objectively evaluate the credibility of evidence and statements, and to create, in this case, an investigative report that summarizes relevant evidence and findings and is shared with both parties prior to finalization. The 2024 updates to this include the expanded definition of sex discrimination, which include discrimination based on sexual orientation, sexual gender. Hostile environment standard has been changed to be from sufficiently severe or pervasive that denies or limits a person's ability to participate or benefit from the recipient's education program or activity, from severe, pervasive, and objectively offensive to, which is replaced with severe or pervasive. The elimination of live hearings and cross-examination for K-12 students, and decision maker impartiality. The decision maker must be impartial and not have a conflict of interest. The resolution decision-making process involves a written determination of the decision maker's determination, applying a preponderance of the evidence standard. If the responsibility is found, implement remedies designed to restore or preserve the complainant's access to an education program or activity, and to impose appropriate disciplinary actions on the respondent consistent with the district policies. Appeal processes, as with any policy, is consistent with this process as well, and all parties will be made aware of the fact that they may appeal and provide a written decision on their appeal explaining the rationale. District policies listed above, equal education opportunities, sexual harassment of employees, sexual harassment of students, and interscholastic sports are the names of the 4 pertinent policies in our district that fall under Title IX. And the common theme across these policies is a clear and evolving commitment to broad non-discrimination, increasingly recognizing and explicitly naming gender identity and sexual orientation as protected characteristics under the Title IX. Given the varying levels of explicit language regarding the gender identity across these policies, particularly between the athletic policy and the more comprehensive non-discrimination policies, one way as a district, we could increase our intentionality for all students is including trans and non-binary students to ensure consistent interpretation and application of gender across all school programs and activities, especially in areas like sports participation, to fully meet the standards of transgender and non-binary students. As leaders, our roles, our checklist for Title IX compliance are the following: to designate and empower a Title IX coordinator, to review and disseminate comprehensive updated policies, ongoing comprehensive training programs for staff and students, provide clear and equitable reporting and response mechanisms, fair investigation procedures following district policies, consistent enforcement of all policies through regular monitoring, and equitable opportunities for all. Thank you, and I hope this helps your understanding of Title IX.